Good morning, pre-algebra. Welcome to the first day of May. That's right. All right. I'm on page 589 in your textbook. Please open up and follow along. This video should be kind of more brief. I'm hoping just to give you a few examples, and then you can run off and do it on your own. So today we are looking at a new formula. Yesterday was the past 2 days have been the Pythagorean theorem, finding the sides of a triangle. Here is finding the distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane. So remember, our coordinate plane is our graph where we have our x and y. Why can't I think of x and y lines? Man, I can't remember. Just a little bit too tired. Maybe it'll come to me in a moment. But, our coordinates, so, where we have 2, 3, coordinate plane. So our x coordinate and our y coordinate. Figuring out what are the distance, if they're odd, because it could be pretty easy if they both were flat. We can figure out, like, oh yeah, we just move right across. What's the difference between the x's? But when we're dealing with a point that's up here and a point that's down here, that can be a little bit more challenging about finding the exact distance straight from one point to another. So to find that, we move over to this lovely equation. Now here's how it works. Remember, keep in mind PEMDAS is that we need to work inside the parentheses first. So we have the second x coordinate, so you'll be given 2 coordinates. You choose the second one and you subtract it from the first one, and whatever that is, you square it. Okay, then you deal with the y's, so our second y minus the first y, and then you square that, and then you add those together, and then you take the square root of that. So here's how it works. Here's our example straight out of the book. It says find the distance between the points -2, 1 and 4, 3. Okay, so I'm going to plug in our information into our formula. So we're trying to find the distance, so trying to find d. So square root of the second x, that would be this one, 4 minus -2, that's a -2, squared, plus our second y, 3 minus 1, pretty simple, squared. Okay, so first thing to deal with is we have 2 negatives there. There's our smiley face, so it means positive. We're adding, so 4 plus 2 is, that's going to be 6 squared, plus 3 minus 1 is 2 squared. So now I'm dealing with 36 plus 4, and now we're dealing with the square root of 40, and when you plug that information in, you get about 6.3, and remember, it's all equaling the distance. So we weren't given inches or anything, so when you're not given anything, you say 6.3 units. Okay, Smartboard's acting up. So there it goes. Once you have your information, you're simply just plugging it into this lovely formula, and it spits out an answer. The distance between those 2 points on our coordinate plane would be 6.3 units. Okay? Let's try another example. Turn the page. What about when we're given a story problem? So it says the Yeager family is visiting Washington, D.C. visiting Washington, D.C. 1 unit on the coordinate system of their map is 0.05 miles. Find the distance between the Department of Defense at -2, 9 and the Madison Building at 3, -3. So So remember, our formula is d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Alright, so plugging in the info, d equals our second x, 3 minus negative 2, I don't know why it is doing that, squared, plus, this is a negative 2. Now we have negative 3 minus 9 squared. Okay, so 3 minus negative 2 means 3 plus 2. So now I'm dealing with 5 squared plus negative 3 minus 9. That's going to be negative 12 squared. And negative 12 times negative 12 is going to equal 144. So I might as well just solve this one. And 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25. Alright, yeah. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself on that. 25 plus 144. So remember, we still have our square root. So now we're dealing with 169, the square root of 169. And that is an even 13. Remember, this is all equaling d. So d equals 13. And are we dealing with what units? So we're dealing with miles, but remember that it said 1 block equals 0.05 miles. So what we're actually going to have to do is we're going to multiply this by 0.05. So when we do 13 times 0.05, we end up getting 0.65 miles. Because remember, in the original question, it's asking how far, find the distance in miles. So that's our last step, and you need to be cautious about this. Make sure that if you're given an extra bit of information where it says 0.05, that will be useful. So again, what I did here was just multiplied our answer by 0.05. Okay, and just kind of taking a look at your page, example number 2 just means that you're applying the distance formula to a triangle. So it's asking you to find the sides of a triangle. And as you can tell from my work up here, you're going to be using a lot of your page. So it's very important that you use your time well and that you write out. It's very easy to make a mistake, especially when you have something like minus a negative number. Make sure that you are writing these out on paper to solve them. Yes, it's time consuming, but your work is going to be much better for it. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Work hard, and I will see you in real life.